Dada wants to hug you with this cookie.
Bethany. Oh my gosh, there's so many little critters around.
Give me a kiss and a hug.
Bethany, can I have a kiss?
Do you, Allie?
You mean that Heather is
This toast is for our guest of honors, George and Angela Paz. We know them as Mom and Dad. This is for to Grandma Matu, for setting a very good example for all of us and showing us all the way, every step of the way of our lives. We know and have learned everything from them, and we love them dearly. And this is a thanks to you from us. Here, here. Here.
We give a toast now. Sarah, toasty. Hey, where's mine? Kenny, toast. One more time. Toast time.
like that.
Toast time.
Yeah, these glasses are.
I guess we have to go around with everybody.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Elbow to elbow, man.
Hey! At least they're not filming cake.
This is to Mom and Dad. Also, thanks for the many years you've given us to be kids, raised us up, loved us, tolerated us, put up with us, and guided us
That's not
to where we are today.
Very
Nasty.
Mom and Dad taught us.
Dad, who has constantly told us that if you can't beat them, outbreed them.
Okay, I just want to say that Grandpa, you are the craziest Grandpa that I have ever
Look.
Well, I'd like to make a toast, and in the tradition of the Kazakhs who like to toast often and frequently and
Every day.
and many times, may your house be white, may your life be long, may your future be bright, and may you have many animals.
They do, they have 12.
Okay. Gotcha.
Beautiful backdrop, isn't it?
Yeah.
We see that.
Yeah, take advantage. Get a picture.
And we just want to say happy anniversary.
Anniversary, and they have another one 50 years from now.
All right. Speak loud.
Mom and Dad, just to let you know that we've worked real hard to try and give you a day that you can remember for the rest of your life, and we're so proud to have you as our parents. We anticipate and hope to help you have many more happy days.
All right.
Go back again? I was just on a before. I would say that I'm honored to be part of this celebration. And I hope that you make it to 75, and I'm here to be part of it.
Remember, Mom, all that stuff, all those pictures, you put it out of your mind if you can.
All right, good shot.
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one to dry your tears, I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I could make you happy, I could make you dreams come true. Nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. Let's face it, what has kept them together for 50 years is love. And that's my tribute to them. Thank you.
You realize what you did when you got into the reproduction business? You thought did you realize that you were reproducing yourself in us? You not only reproduced a lot of kids like yourself, but you also reproduced a lot of joy, fun, excitement for the years to come. You thought you were growing weeds out of the backyard, such as goat heads, dandelions, and tumbleweeds, but you were also growing weeds to the inside of the house. And all of us weeds grew up to be the best garden we'll ever cherish.
Well, my tribute to my parents is multiple. They have been such an integral part of my life, and they've been my major support as far as my entire life has been. But they also showed pretty strong character traits. In particular, I remember a particular argument that my parents had, and my mom flinging the eggs across the breakfast table at my dad. But that's okay, Mom. But my dad brought us up to help in our life in its everyday setting. One particular incident that happened was one time when he had to be hospitalized for something in El Paso, and he decided to play a trick on the nurse. So when she comes in, he says, you know, I would like to have some apple juice. Oh, well, let me go get some. So he says, so he grabs the urinal and guzzles it, slams it down and says, boy, that was good. And she says, but, and it was the color of pee, but unbeknownst to her, he had poured apple juice into there and drank it. That's just a taste of what life was like with my parents.
The thing I wanted to say is, you know, the Bible that talks about honoring your parents, honoring your mother and father. And sometimes as a teenager, as a young person, it's hard to think that way. And to me, it's been amazing as time has gone by what a nice promise that is in terms of it says they have a long life. And I see that they have a long life. And it's nice to see some of that passed on to other children too, in terms of the blessing of honoring your parents. And I wanted to do that as a tribute, but I didn't want to do my funny story the kids reminded me of. And that's how my dad taught us his culinary skills. My dad loved to cook, particularly when my mom was in the hospital having a baby, which was often. But when he was gone, he'd make these symphony of flavors like refried beans with sprinkle wheat mustard. Or do something funny with the Jell-O, you know, it's like. But we will never forget that he crunches Jell-O and, you know, cools it. But I think our dad, he's kind of passed on for us to enjoy getting in the kitchen because we didn't want him to.
About the dog food.
God bless you there.
For those who haven't heard the story about being locked at TRC, Dad used to boast to the waitresses that he had a scientific system for keeping track of all of his kids. He would get them in the van and they would count off, and he knew exactly where everybody was at. Well, we were coming back from somewhere up in the mountains, and we stopped at TRC and had dinner, and Dad gets in the back of the van and falls asleep, and nobody ever did count off. And me and Marcos came out of the bathroom looking for the van, and it was gone. And we wondered where everybody had gone to, and the waitresses hung on to us until Dad finally came back and picked us up and brought us home.
Seriously, I want to tell you, Mom and Dad, how thankful I am for your commitment to one another and the example you've shown us that you were committed to your marriage through the good times and bad. I know it wasn't always easy, and I want to thank you for staying together and making this work these 50 years. Mom and Dad, you also taught me many things, and a story I'd like to share with you is about when Dad taught me to drive. He showed me the basics of driving in the War Wagon, which had 3 speeds, manual, and then one day while he and I were driving back from Albuquerque, he asked me to drive at Socorro. And on the old 2-lane highway before I-25 was finished. Shortly after I shifted into all 3 gears and was going along smoothly, he fell asleep. There I was with only a learner's permit on a 2-lane highway on a dark and rainy night with big semis coming from the opposite direction, and my driving instructor father was sound asleep. When we got home, Mom found out. She wasn't too happy about that. But, by the way, Dad, I have to tell you, by the grace of God, I have never been at fault in an accident as a driver. Mom, you taught me the skill of sewing, and I appreciate it very much. I know after me breaking many needles and messing up the machine
many times. You probably wondered if I'd ever learn. I'd like to present you both with a tangible gift of appreciation for all you taught me. This quilt, when finished, will display your wedding picture and present day picture along with all your children and their families. It's not finished yet. I have to get the pictures from this weekend. And then it will be on that. And I just want to thank you very much, and I love you, and congratulations for 50 years.
There's two things that I want to share with you about my parents. One, you just saw in the video. For me, that was a labor of love, and it was a lot of fun. It was not work, and I wanted to say I hope you enjoyed that. The second thing I wanted to share is basically how I was able to keep their marriage together. Single-handedly. If you remember in the video, you saw the recent pictures we just took of the cruise in which I was in the water and my dad was snorkeling. I don't know if you remember seeing that. Is anybody? There was a reason for that. The reason is because this was actually our second time that we've been out, that I've had a chance to be with my parents on a vacation. The first time didn't go so well. In fact, had it not turned out the way it did, we may not have had this 50th. So here's the story. The story was that we were in Cartagena, Colombia, and they were visiting me. I was spending some time down in South America. They were visiting, and we went to the beach to do some swimming. So I was out enjoying the surroundings, doing some snorkeling, some swimming, and while I'm snorkeling down below the water, you know, enjoying the wildlife and the coral and so on, I see this big, fat roll of dollar bills, big old fat roll, going along under the water, under the current out to sea. And I looked at that and I almost gagged in my snorkel mask. But I managed to keep my breath and grab the dollar bills at the same time. And so I grabbed the dollar bills, and I was so excited I couldn't believe that I would, you know, way out 50 or 100 feet out into the sea, you would find this. I mean, where did that come from? So I was so excited, I went back to the beach, and I was going to share it with my mom and dad. And I heard my mom there on the beach, and she was screaming at Dad for some reason. She says, "Dad, I can't believe you lost the money. That's all the money we have." I put it in my pockets. It was right here. You know, and these pockets don't leak. You know, I don't know where it could have gone. And I show up on the scene and I said, "Guess what I found?" And I think that was one of the things that helped them keep their marriage together, because otherwise it was going to go bad fast.
Mom and Dad's greatest legacy is their gift of love for us and their gift for life. Their willingness to open up to God's will in their marriage is why most of us are here. Mom was asked many times how she carried 12 children. People wanted to know how she was still alive. She would always respond, "I never thought about having 12 children, just one child at a time. And each time it was a blessing, so I really never even paid much attention to it or thought it was anything special." Well, Mom, it is special. It's special because you had me. I also can't think of being without anyone of my 11 brothers and sisters. This is the gift of life, and your willingness to open yourselves up to it has made you co-creators with Christ. I can remember when I was in junior high school and Dad gave me that little talk. Of course, I didn't know that's what it was. As most of you know, when you talk to Dad, it's pretty much a one-way conversation. Perhaps you can describe it more as a lecture. He sat me down and he told me about love, respect, faithfulness, integrity, commitment. And when he was done, I thought, what is he talking about? I thought he missed the whole point. And I was very disappointed. I expected and I wanted him to talk about condoms and pills and drugs and devices. That's what everybody else was talking about. Wasn't that sex education? I really thought Dan missed the point. The church teaches us that marriage is a covenant relationship with God. 100% commitment given to Him as the authority over our household. It's not a 50-50 contract, but it requires complete sacrifice to God and each other. They teach us that intimate relations in marriage is a gift from God. It is both unitive and procreative. Unitive means that our intimacy allows us to grow closer to each other and in turn grow closer to God. Unitive in that if sex is just for the benefit of one person or selfishness or satisfaction of one person, it divides the relationship and is therefore not a part of God's plan. And the greatest gift that God can grant our marriage is a child, procreation. I can think of no greater blessing other than knowing Jesus than children. I once told Mom, I'm your greatest blessing, and she said, yeah, you and this migraine headache you're giving me.
But as has been mentioned before, and has been mentioned throughout, the outstanding thing that we benefit from our parents is the fact that they've remained married 50 years. The other day I was at a wedding and I saw this young couple. They were a beautiful young couple. A lot of promise. They had saved each other. They had saved themselves for their marriage. They had prepared and they had saved themselves for their marriage. And it was such a beautiful thing. And yet, as Ed could watch them walk down the aisle, it was a beautiful thing. And yet, it was even more beautiful this afternoon to watch arthritic hands holding that have fulfilled the test of time, that have endured, and not only made a commitment to each other, but stuck with it for 50 years. And so that's what we celebrate today.
I just want to give a few capsules of things that I think of as memories of growing up in a household with Mom and Dad. For some reasons, these stand out for me. I'm sure everybody has certain memories that just kind of stand out for them. That when we think about Mom and Dad, those are the things that, for some reason, they speak to us. One thing that I think of is the middle of the night, waking up when you're sick and throwing up, and going to the side of the bed where Mom is and tapping her on the shoulder and saying, I'm sick. And her getting up and getting whatever medicine is needed and comforting you and getting you back to bed, checking you in, that meant a lot to me. And maybe that was a lot of the reason that I grew up to be a nurse. On the other hand, I remember also spending hours during our summertime picking weeds in our yard. And Ricky kind of alluded to this. Those weeds were planted by my dad to keep us busy during the summer. I remember waking up in the morning, hearing Mom stir the milk. Because we had so many kids in our family, we had to drink powdered milk, which was cheaper. And every morning she would stir the milk. And it was always a treat when we got a gallon of fresh milk. I think about Mom waking me up when I was going to school with her soft, quiet voice, Mija, it's time to wake up. And that's all I needed. And how I wish I had an alarm clock that had that voice. I remember growing up, and my dad, one of his favorite pastime activities was reading the newspaper on the John. And maybe still is. And he never seemed to be bothered by the kids coming in and out of the bathroom to use it. He would just sit there and just carry on with his daily routine. The thing that always struck us funny is that it never bothered him either when our friends came in and out. But I'm just really grateful to you, Mom and Dad. I just think of how much you guys have poured into our lives. One of the things I always remember is how you both love to read. You've always loved to read. And Mom always had her book with her. Every night she read. Dad always had his books. One of the things that impressed me was how he read everything that we were reading in college. One day I brought home my book when I was taking calculus, Fun with Calculus. To me, it was not very much fun. But Dad read my whole textbook and told me how great it was. I decided I should probably just let him read it and tell me what it was about. He also, they've also just been such a, just a testimony to us as we've grown up. And one of the things, Dad being a printer, he's always been around paper and books, and that's always been a love for him. And you can always tell Dad has read a book because he tears off the little corners of all the pages and eats them. So you can see every page he's read has been torn off. Newspapers, magazines, books, library books, any books. You know? The corners are always torn off and eaten. And I find that nowadays I love reading, and I have friends who ask me, how did you learn to read so much? Why do you read so much? And it's my parents. They've always been such big readers, and it's always inspired me to be able to love reading. And along with all of these, I mean, reading is one thing, but one of the things that you've taught me most is how much people and events are so much more important than things. You guys sacrifice so much just for us, and to give us so much for us. And I think we've all grown up with a strong sense of family, and that's always been so important to me. And I thank you so much.
Being the youngest, you know, of all these kids, of all these other guys you just heard, you have to find ways to survive. We didn't have a whole lot of money, and you know, food was a premium. So you know, it's amazing I'm still alive. Starved to death or something. But Claire was my ally, as Jerry said. She was my ally. She helped pull me through this life to be here today. But I think one of the neatest memories growing up is that, like you guys are all here tonight to have a good time and have a party. And I remember growing up, and Mom and Dad's parties, they were wild. I mean, I had some parties in my time with these guys. They were wild. And I just remember when, you know, after Dad had a few, he was always easy to go up and just pick some money. Dad, how about $10? Oh, sure. Here you go. So, Dad, have a good time tonight.
Congratulations on your golden anniversary. A few golden memories that are not only make up your marriage, but also a record memory in my life. These memories have made it more valuable than things that no words or money can express. Things like admiration, pride, respect, honor, faith, hope, determination, and laughter so good for the soul. I want to thank each of you individually. To Uncle George, what I remember most of you is your smile. In hard times, in good times, in sad times. And I imagine you at the front lines in the face of danger. Your smile coming through as a ray of light to strengthen and encourage and give hope to those around you. An endless smile that will survive past this life in our memories, always warming our hearts. I want to add, I have always thought of you as a leader, even though I was very young. I was aware of your leadership and inspiration to your troops, the Boy Scouts of America. What you don't know is in me telling my boys about you, which led them and us to be very involved with the Boy Scouts as they were growing up over 20 years ago. You have touched many people's lives, even many you don't know have been touched by your life. Thank you. To Auntie Angela, you are a pillar of strength. You are a role model, a record breaker as a woman, and an inspiration as a wife and mother to all of us, even people you will never meet know of you. Not just because you had 12 children,
but because you kept up the pace in the working world and the physical department. You look just as great as the day you were married 50 years ago. Auntie Angela, you truly are an inspiration to me and all the people I know. I have never met anyone that can hold a candle to you. Thank you.
And we had a lot of good times at different houses. When I think of George and Angela, I think about all the good times that we had together. They just put an awful lot of fun in my life. But I want to tell you about one little incident that was especially fun. A bunch of us, probably about 6 or 8 couples of us, went up to Hillsboro for one of the Apple Festival weekends. And we were all gathered together there, singing and dancing in the little bar that's in Hillsboro. You know, Hillsboro's just a little one-street town. It's got one little bar, and one little gas station, and that's it. And we were all crammed in there, so the place was jumping, and everybody singing, having a great old time, dancing. And George looks around, we were all standing there kind of watching some of the people. And George all of a sudden noticed this lady out there dancing. And she was looking pretty shapely. She had blonde hair and a pretty figure and everything. And George kind of gets an eye on there. He goes over to the lady and asks her to dance. And then she turns around and looks at him. And she looked nice shape and everything. But when she turned around, she was about 80 years old with a big smile over her face. And we all laughed and laughed and laughed at George. And Angela forgave him.
I wasn't there when you went on a trip into Mexico and went off the main Fredway and went off to visit someone. And you had a flat tire. You were in the middle of nowhere. But luckily everybody, including the teachers, I think it was a teacher, and so everybody, you said everybody grabbed some of this food. And you imagine this, a flat, no, me it was a flat tire, it was a gasoline tank, big rock. That was such a rough road, and it sprung a leak. Gasoline. They were in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles from nowhere. And so everybody chewed gum. And when they were, he said, all right, give me all the gum. So they gave him the gum, chewed gum. George patching up that hole. They were able to go through that journey into way out there somewhere, back to the main road down to Mexico City and back to Las Cruces with our gum. And that gum stood. You remember that, George? And Angela?
I don't know, we were just overwhelmed with the efforts, the work that our children did in gathering all these photos and history and making this video. Mark worked till wee hours this morning after coming from the Caribbean cruise to get the video put together, and finally got it just in time to present tonight. Mark missed out last night on the supper that we had, at which time, you know, again we thanked all our children for their efforts that they've done. And then Mom and I made one sorrowful announcement that I thought, kids, Mom and I kind of goofed up when we planned your life, and now we stop to speak. You've had 27 grandchildren, and we forgot when we transferred our DNA and our chromosomes and our genes to you, we forgot to make sure that they were Y2 compatible. So some of the kids said to you, what do you mean?
Does that mean we're going to blow up at midnight in the year 2000? I said, not only that, but all of the grandchildren. We pass things down to generations. So maybe we did start something with a big bang after all. Again, gee, we're so delighted and indebted to our friends who have come here to join us on this occasion. It's, you know, I do also get a lump in my throat just thinking about some of these things. Some of these pictures and memories coming alive tonight, so it's been overwhelming. And again, thanks everyone. Thanks very much for everything you've done for us.
They tell me that this day has been planned for quite a while, over a year. We had no inkling. Things were going on around us, and parents are stupid. You don't get it. You don't suspect your own children to be planning things about you. So we had no idea what was going on. When we received a gift of a Caribbean cruise, we thought that was a celebration for our 50th anniversary. No. That was only the beginning. But this today, all afternoon has been such a beautiful experience, such a beautiful demonstration from our children that care for us. And I love all of you, and all my in-laws, all my grandkids, all my 27 grandkids, all my 12 sons and daughters-in-law, all my 12 kids. Thank you.